Okay, for this video I'm going to show you kind of the process of downloading and preparing Landfire or vegetation data for RVD and RCA inputs. So I'm going to start just as an example. I'm using the Lemhi watershed in Idaho. So the first thing to kind of get your bearings is turn on the imagery. If you don't already know where the area is at, kind of find the general outline of the watershed and some defining characteristics so you can find it on the Landfire website. So now that I've got that idea, I'm just going to go to landfire.gov. I will click Get Data. We'll go to Idaho. And we're going to move to that area, that part of the state. So if you're comparing the features, you can see this valley here. So we are looking at this one right here. So you just got to make sure you encompass at least the whole watershed. So just be a little conservative in your delineation. But over here on the left, these are the different years of Landfire we have. So right now, for any future watersheds, we're doing this 2014. If you need the old Landfire though, there's 2012 here as well. So we'll bring that down, and the two that we're after for RVD and RCA is existing vegetation type and biophysical settings. So we'll select both of those and then click this box here, which allows you to delineate. So I know it goes at least into the Salmon River here and all the way up this valley, so I'm just going to grab this whole area. And it'll bring you to this page, and you can see here that if we downloaded it now, it would be in Albers, so we'd have to reproject it. So to skip that, we'll just go to Modified Data Request. And simply up at the top here, change this to Best Fit UTM. Save changes and return to summary. And now we can download both of these data sets and store them wherever makes the most sense to you. Okay, so I have both of those data sets downloaded and stored in a folder. So now I'm going to go back into ARC and I'm going to open those up and make sure they at least have coverage for the entire watershed. Navigate to that folder here. So I'll pull in my BPS. And as you can see, we've covered enough. So we'll go ahead and move along with this. Pull an EVT. So now we want to clip it to our watershed boundary so that we can have it as an input for RVD or RCA. So I'm just going to turn this off because I don't need it. And I will pull in my HUC boundary database. I know it's a HUC 8, so I'll pull that in. And just, I mean, you can see here the network's a little bit further in our HUC boundary. Don't worry about that. I maybe used the wrong network for it, but either way, we just need the Landfire for the whole HUC. So I'll select the HUC. I have my Landfire layers on. Then I'm going to search for clip and going to use the data management version. This is the one that's used for rasters. So I'll start with EVT and I'll select the HUC. So since I have the HUC selected on the screen, even though I input the whole data set as the output extent, it will only clip to the part I have selected. And then I have to check this box. If I don't, it'll just put an output rectangle that encompasses just that area. But if I when I select the box, it will clip it to the actual boundary. So then I'm going to choose where to store it, and I actually want to store it in the same folder that the input is in. So I'm going to navigate to that. So I'm going to actually put it in the folder that I just downloaded from Landfire. So here's my actual input raster. This is the same thing. In the same place, I'm going to store it as EVT. Oops, I added an A. EVT clip. Hit save. If you get a red X, it's because you have too many characters in here. Once you get a certain amount of characters, you have to add an extension. So I usually use .tiff. So now the red X is gone. So I'll hit OK. Okay, so it finished the clip. I'm going to turn these layers off so you can see. So there it is in my watershed boundary. So the input's good to go to run through RVD and RCA. I would do the same thing for BPS. For the purpose of this video, it's the same process, so I'm not going to go over that, but just as an example of what it would look like pulling it into the actual projects. Say I was running an RVD project. If you remember from the RVD tutorial video, when I do the actual build RVD and I select existing vegetation datasets, if you remember, you're selecting the whole folder rather than going in it and selecting the raster datasets. I'm selecting the whole folder, so within that folder it's going to have both the original EVT raster and the EVT clip raster that I just saved. So then when you go to the actual tool itself, riparian vegetation departure, when I select that vegetation, so existing, this is in the new say this is in the new project folder that I just used the builder from, I'll go into it this time, and there's the clip dataset that I'll use as the input. So that is it for downloading and preparing Landfire or vegetation data for RVD and RCA.